Hi, everybody, and welcome to a special pre-election edition of Newsmakers. I'm Jerry Roberts. It is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2 weeks from Election Day, which is kind of a bygone thing. We now have election month or election months. But in any case, you can't vote after next Tuesday. And today we've assembled an all-star panel of good citizens who are working in the education, fiscal, and political spaces in Santa Barbara. And they're going to be debating the pros and cons of Measure P, which has emerged as a high-profile campaign issue for Santa Barbara voters. Measure P is a proposed $198 million bond measure for building and infrastructure improvements at City College. And with that, I want to welcome our quartet of guests, each of whom has looked closely at Measure P, and we'll have some back and forth on it for everyone today. First on Team Yes, the Yes on Measure P team, economics professor Lanny Ebenstein, who is president of the Santa Barbara Taxpayers Association, and Wade Cooper, a native Santa Barbaran and City College alum who works as a corporate and political consultant. And for Team No on Measure P, we have Marsha Croninger, a retired attorney and the longest serving member of the City College Board of Trustees, first elected in 2010. And software engineer Dale Francisco, also a City College alum, who previously served 2 terms on the Santa Barbara City Council. Thank you all so much for being here and for taking the time to do this. It's much appreciated. A quick word about the ground rules. We'll have 4 rounds of discussion and debate with the order of speakers rotating with each round. To begin, I'll pose sort of a formal debate style proposition. And after the first round, I'll pose an open-ended question about finances, education strategy, and politics of the campaign. And we'll go through our guests in order, alternating yes on P and no on P arguments. And we have asked everyone to keep their answers brief and no more than 2 minutes, and we greatly appreciate them policing them for that. So with no further ado, let's start with this. Resolved that approval of Measure P is a sound and prudent investment for Santa Barbara voters. Lanny, let's start with you. Why is that the case?
Jerry, thank you for the opportunity to participate in this newsmaker debate. This is an important issue. I thought I would start by telling a personal anecdote. Although I was not a student at Santa Barbara City College, my first teaching opportunity was at Santa Barbara City College. And if it weren't for that, I doubt that I would have had the professional career that I've had. And that's a story that can be told of tens of thousands of local residents over time. Santa Barbara City College is a vital institution to our community. It benefits all of us. Since 1969, there have only been 2 bonds that have passed at Santa Barbara City College. One in 1973 for land, not for facilities, and then a bond in 2008 for $77 million. That's not enough to keep Santa Barbara City College one of the best community colleges in the nation and one of the best community colleges in the state of California. I think that this is a sound and prudent investment. In 2014, Santa Barbara City College put a bond on the ballot that would have been for it would have been for $287 million, which in real terms would be twice the current bond, a proposal of $198 million. The 2014 proposal also foresaw a new assessment of almost $17 per $100,000 of assessed value, whereas the current proposal is for a continuation of the $8.50 per $100,000 of assessed valuation approved by the voters in 2008. This is a reasonable proposal. It will allow the community to receive as much as $100 million, but almost certainly at least $50 million in funding from the state of California. And that's why it's a good proposal.
All right, thank you. Marsha, you've written at length and eloquently why you don't think this is a good investment. Why is that?
Well, thank you also, Jerry, for the opportunity to appear here with our other esteemed folks. Um, I don't think it's a wise investment because Santa Barbara City College is not ready to make the choices it needs to make to spend the money wisely. We have on the main campus at this point about 3 times as many buildings as we need because we have had about a 44% reduction in enrollment since the peak at 2009 and 10. And that is a huge change for the college. Now, even now, we are an unusual college in that we have a large proportion of out-of-district students. And I believe that among the many factors that causes this enrollment decline, including demographics, is the fact that we are not seeing quite as many. Typically, it has been half and half in-district and out-district students coming to Santa Barbara City College. We're also seeing a change in that students are going online more and making that choice for how they want to receive their classes. This means, as I said, that we wind up with 3 times as many buildings as we need. And yet we are asking for a bond measure that would, in a very broad way, or is described in a very broad way as fixing our buildings. First, we have to figure out which buildings we need to fix and which buildings we need to either repurpose or in some way give up. We can't just throw money at it and say this is going to make Santa Barbara City College the place of the future.
All right, thank you. Wade, you're a Renaissance man who also happens to be an attorney, so I guess this is what's called rebuttal. Why do you think this is a good investment?
Here's the bottom line. When I was growing up in Santa Barbara, this was a very different place to be a kid. And in today's world, we have public schools that are unfortunately underperforming. We have fewer and fewer opportunities for our young people. I mean, just for instance, look, downtown parking, that used to be a great job for teenagers. It's essentially gone today. And so what we've left the young people in our community with, particularly those in working class neighborhoods and from working class families, is with less opportunities to make it here in Santa Barbara. And anyone who lives here, anyone who works here can tell you that this is an incredibly hard place to survive. And if we can provide even a few kids within a beautiful school where they can go and show up and learn a trade where they can make their lives better, or even possibly go to school, begin their educational process and decide that they want to go to university, that's an incredible opportunity for kids who have so few other opportunities in our community. Reagan in the 70s used to talk about a shining city on a hill. We here in Santa Barbara have a shining school on the hill that unfortunately has come under disrepair. You go to the bathrooms, they're leaking, the carpets are old and dirty. And let me tell you one thing I know about being a student. If you're going into a dirty bathroom, if you're going into an old classroom, you are not going to feel like the school cares about you, and you're not going to care as much about your education. And the demographic of people who are going to this school, they need that more than anyone else, that extra touch, that extra care, so that they can make their lives better and have a better future for themselves and for Santa Barbara.
All right, thank you. As I live and breathe, Wade Cooper quoting Ronald Reagan. All right. Dale, you kind of triggered the community debate with a piece you wrote originally for Newsmakers, really delving into it. Why do you think this is not a good investment?
I want to begin by thanking you, Jerry, for bringing us all together today. And I also want to acknowledge that everyone here wants City College to succeed. Everyone here wants City College to do what it's designed to do, which is to give educational opportunities to our young people. So that's not a question at all. The question is, will this bond measure advance that goal? I believe it will not. It might buy some time. It's a Band-Aid. But if you look closely at what City is actually talking about doing with this bond, of course, I'm going to talk more about this, but there's a huge disconnect between what their plans are and what they're telling us the plans are. So, for instance, the big item all in their current plan is a new physical education building, a new PE building. That's something that does not poll well. And the political consultants who are running this campaign know that. And so we never hear anything about it. What we hear about is nursing, skilled trades, transfer to UC, transfer to state colleges. And all of that's good and all that's wonderful. Everybody wants that to happen. But that, unfortunately, is not the focus internally at City College. And the really fundamental problem is there is not a clear plan that has been created and has been shared with the community and a commitment made to it. And that fundamentally is what has to happen, I believe, in order to get voters to endorse spending this much money.
All right, thanks. All right, let's go to round two. Marsha, we begin with you, and I want to delve into some of the financial questions that Dale just raised. Measure P supporters say that the bond fund's necessary to pay for a wide range of general maintenance and infrastructure improvements. But you have argued the college has squandered state funds for that kind of routine upkeep, and that's really not the priority for this bond measure. Can you explain?
Well, that's correct, Jerry. And I would like to reinforce as well what Dale said, which is that we all want City College to succeed and to help our students succeed themselves. So the focus of this bond has been for many years a new PE building. It was originally discussed starting in about 2016, and it was put forward as a priority. And then discussions continued and prices rose, and the state made major changes in what it would contribute. What has happened now is that, as you mentioned, Jerry, the PE building is still the centerpiece of this bond. It's a $100 million estimated cost on a $198 million bond. Now, $35 million is being contributed by the state, but it's a very expensive building. It is not a basic building by any means. And there are a number of arguments that people have put forth as to why we need it. Community benefit, and I think you said you were getting to that later, but really it's about the PE program. And in terms of what it provides for that program, all of the classes will continue whether or not we have that new building.
All right. Wade, you have a rebuttal on this one.
Yeah, fundamentally, I sort of reject the premise of what Marsha is saying. I understand that for many, it seems like a physical education building, a gym is not a top priority. But for a lot of kids who are coming into the school, they may not have access at all to any other gym facilities. And look, let's be honest, here in America, we have incredibly high rates of obesity. We have incredibly high rates of diabetes, so much so that people are now using injectables to bring down their various diabetic levels and stuff like that. If we can get kids active in the gym, being healthy from an earlier age, that's a huge benefit. But the other aspect of it is that we don't know today what these buildings are going to be used for because we are in a period of flux throughout education. I don't necessarily see that as such a problem. The fact that we have a capital improvement funding mechanism separated from the decision-making of what to do with that money down the road is not the biggest problem in the world. What I see is that it provides opportunities for the students of tomorrow to have what they need. If we were to definitively say today exactly how every penny of that money is going to be spent on the infrastructure, we may be left behind and in a position where we need to spend more money in the future to renovate buildings, to change them, to make them different from the needs that were of 2024 as opposed to, for instance, 2028.
All right. Dale, where do you come down on all this?
So just to come back to Wade on this topic, I agree physical education is important, but especially in Santa Barbara, virtually all physical education happens outside. And there are I am sure, much cheaper ways to renovate whatever needs renovating in the PE building without creating a new $100 million palace of athletics. So, and I would also agree that plans may change over time, and that's fine. What I am trying to address here is there is no plan. That's the problem. City College administration needs to come up with a plan that lays out what exactly they are planning to do with this essentially $200 million and explain that to the community in terms they can understand and be honest about it. There's no reason to be hiding from this highly educated, highly involved community what the real plan is. And that, unfortunately, is what's happening with this PE building project. But putting that aside, what really needs to happen is there needs to be a plan with priorities that the community who's supporting this and who's going to pay for it, that community agrees on.
All right. Lanny, you've been very visible. You're the head of the Taxpayers Association, generally viewed as a conservative organization. Weigh in on the finances here, please.
Sure. I think the finances are crucial, and from many respects, I think it's the strongest aspect of the proposal. There were three different proposals before the Board of Trustees. They chose the proposal that would cost the least money by folding it into the previous authorized bond amount. Between now and 2041, it's only going to be $2 per $100,000 extra of assessed valuation, not market value that people will pay on their tax bills. It will then continue until 2060 to be sure, at the higher amount, up to the higher amount of $8.50. But if anything, that amount may go down over time, as it regularly does with long-term bonds. So my feeling is that, in the taxpayers' view, having attended meetings and provided input on this issue, is that the Board of Trustees went with the least expensive proposal. They chose a financing mechanism that had the least impact on taxpayers, and crucially, again, allows City College to qualify for $50 million to $100 million, depending on state funding of funds over time, that for the most part, and in particular with respect to the new PE building, would not be available in the future. Let's be clear too that there is a plan for other facilities, improvement and renovation of science labs at City College, and improvements in other areas as well. So we think this is a well thought through plan, and our community has benefited from its educational investment in the past. It'll benefit from this educational investment now.
All right, thanks. All right, round three. Wade, you've characterized City College as a kind of a community treasure that certainly has value to the full-time enrolled students, but also beyond. Can you talk about why you think the defeat of Measure P, what it would mean for the college as a broad-based community institution?
Yeah. First, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you here. I'm assuming we don't have a broad audience beyond Santa Barbara. I care almost entirely about the local students. I care about kids who grow up in Santa Barbara and are going to go to this school. And what I see now is, with declining enrollment, that is an opportunity for this bond to spend more money per pupil. And those kids are more from local schools than they ever have before. And we have other great programs set up at the City College to ensure free tuition for local high school graduates. But the thing that this school does so well is it gives kids an opportunity to find out what they want to do. And I know that sounds funny. People are a little older. Folks went to college back in the day, not to age everyone, but folks went to college back in the day. They had a general idea of what they wanted to do with their lives, and they just did it, and they had their career, and that's what it was. today's educational environment is more about skills. It's about building skills and then how you're going to utilize those skills throughout your career. And those skills tend to be really super varied. And giving kids an opportunity to go to different classes and learn different things and try things out at a very, very low cost or no cost for them is a huge help to the community. The other part is that it provides genuine, actual, on the ground workforce that we need. I mean, our community needs people in the hospitality industry. We've got an incredible culinary school. We need people at our hospitals. We have an incredible nursing school. And I know that it sounds funny, but if you're going to a campus that is old and falling apart, you are not going to be as incentivized to do as well or take as much pride in what you're doing. I mean, this is just true. Anyone who goes into any sort of old office, old building, you are not going to be as happy or as proud. And so that is what I want to see for our local kids here in Santa Barbara.
All right, Dale, despite Wade's age shaming, I acknowledge I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. But what do you, how do you respond to that argument?
I'm not entirely clear on what the argument is, at least in terms of the question of long-term strategy for the college. But when I think about long-term strategy, what I'm looking at is City College is in a very tough situation right now. Their finances have not been in good shape for a long time. The state came in and issued a report back in 2017 saying that they were in dire fiscal straits and deficit spending was common. They were overspending. They're taking money out of reserves. And that has not changed. That picture has not significantly changed. And you mentioned in your interview with Erica Androjonas, the superintendent, there's been incredible turnover of leadership at City College for the last decade. City College is not in a good place, and it needs to turn things around. And I hope Erica is part of that turnaround. She said she wanted to bring stability to the college, and I hope she does. But City College needs to reevaluate what it's doing. It has been focused from the beginning on transfer students, and that's really important. But job training is becoming really important too, perhaps more important than it has ever been. And City College doesn't offer the same breadth in vocational training as some of the other community colleges in this state. City College needs to look at that. I think they need to broaden their offerings. They need to think about the future of the students who are going there now. And part of that long-term strategy needs to be, how are we going to take care of the ongoing needs for maintenance that have been ignored for years? They have been this simultaneous decline in enrollment, which created a revenue decline, and a refusal, really, on the college's part to face the fact that they need staff reductions. That's absolutely necessary. They stole money, essentially, from the maintenance budget, and that's part of the reason you're seeing these budgets or these buildings in such terrible disrepair. So there are really fundamental strategic problems that need to be solved. And I'm not saying that City College might not need a bond, but they need to have a plan of what to do with the money.
All right.
Lanny, can I jump back in and throw us over?
No, Lanny, no.
All right.
Well, opposing rare structure on a Newsmakers show. That you can come on the Friday show and say whatever you want. You can interrupt everyone. But go ahead, Lanny.
All right. I want to say that I agree with my longtime friend Dale, as well as my longtime friend Marsha in part, but obviously not in whole. Dale, I agree with your comment to the effect that Santa Barbara City College needs a bond. I think I'm not completely mischaracterizing it. Your question is this the time, and is this the proposal that's been thought through satisfactorily? And so, as I said, that's a little tongue in cheek. But as I said, I think there's agreement that there should be spending on facilities at Santa Barbara City College. I also agree that looking at the mission of the college is something that's vital, as far as I think that declining enrollment is something that is real and has affected the college in recent years. There's far fewer international and national students. And I think that gives the opportunity for expanding the number of local students and the number of career and technical education students at Santa Barbara City College, including on Santa Barbara City College's main campus. And I believe that increasing and improving the physical education building and increasing and improving, renovating general education classrooms is something that will benefit all students. And as I said, I agree completely. The goal for City College should be maximum enrollment of local students of all ages and all backgrounds. They're already doing as good or better a job than almost any community college in the state. Let's even work on building that more. And I'm serious in terms of let's try to get career and technical education for every student. I think that this bond is a solid step in that direction. It gives us those state funds that won't be available in the future. There's strong reasons why this builds into the strategy, Dale, that I think you're pointing out.
All right, Marsha, you get your batting cleanup on this one.
Well,
Lot to pick up on.
I really appreciate the enthusiasm that Wade and Lanny have for the college, but the college in your mind is not the college we have. And I think that's what Dale was getting at. There is not a plan. There has been no serious discussion about how to deal with this decline in enrollment. And no, this was not carefully thought out as a measure by setting the tax rate as the same rate as Measure V. It was picked because it polled well. That was the best polling for passing a bond. So Wade, I absolutely agree with you that the students you're talking about need the best opportunities we can offer them. But I don't think that is what this bond is scheduled to be spent on. Furthermore, one of the things you should know about our college is that a portion of our revenue is attributable to those low-income students. How many low-income students do we have? It should be 20%, but for us, it's 14%. Now that tells you that our community, our low-income people have left. They are not able to stay in Santa Barbara because of the high housing costs. And you can see that decline in our own revenue. Now, community colleges all over the state are not looking, as Lanny knows, because you pay attention to demographics, they're not looking to the high school students anymore as a source. Those number of students are going down, and 2025 has long been seen as a demographic cliff for this group of students. So where we are looking at is an older group that is 34 to 44, somewhere in that range. That's 5% of our enrollment. Those folks are not going to bump up our enrollment in any significant way. And in fact, our facility planning and our educational master planning assume no significant increase in enrollment. We need to learn to live with the size of the college that we have. And we haven't done that.
All right, fair enough. All right, last round. Well, it wouldn't be Newsmakers unless we got into the politics of it. Dale, your lead off on this one. You have written, and as has Marsha, that the campaign that has been waged on behalf of Measure P, which is quite expensive, $200,000-$300,000 the last time I looked, is misleading in part because of the claims about taxes. Talk about that if you would.
Sure. So the most misleading thing about their campaign is this idea that gets repeated in every mailer they sent out, that taxes will not increase, that you're going to get all these wonderful benefits without an increase in taxes. That absolutely is not true. And I've even heard in your interview with Erica, she's saying, well, this is not a new bond, it's just an extension. Well, that's not true either. It is a new bond. Where are you going to get this $200 million without new taxes and a new bond? So that is the fundamental deception, if you will, in this plan. And part of my disappointment with this whole Proposition P campaign is that City College seems to be letting this go on autopilot and just handing it over to the consultants and saying, win us the election, and we don't really care how you do it. We're getting mailers weekly. Here's one. Lanny, I don't want to accuse you of anything, but this says stamp of approval from the Taxpayers Association. I don't know if that's true. I mean, they don't explicitly say in here that the board met on August 15th and unanimously approved Prop P. They're quoting you and they're quoting Tom Woodrow. But I'm so suspicious now of everything I get from them that I'm always looking. I'm looking for what the next trick is. So what I would hope is you've got a community here, you've got a well-educated community, you've got a community who cares about City College. Come back in 2 years from now with a real plan and be honest about it and tell us what the money is going to be spent on. And if they can do that, I will join my good friend Lanny Ebenstein in supporting it.
All right, Lanny, strong words from your friend Dale. You two really could not be closer friends. How do you respond?
Great. No, Dale and I go way back to his first campaign for city council in 2007. He did a great job on the city council. Marsha has done a great job on the Santa Barbara City College Board. I should say I strongly encouraged her to run for re-election and supported her candidacies. Dale, you'll be happy to know that in the most, some of the concerns that were brought forward were heard. And in the most, we'll have dueling campaign flyers here. In the most recent campaign flyer from the Yes on P campaign, the wording was changed to without increasing tax rate. Well, you can't see it. Without increasing tax rates, because I agree that the language could have been better. And as I said, if it had been up to me, it would have been best financial deal there is. It's only $2 more per $100,000 of assessed value through 2041, and that can qualify for $50 million to $100 million of state funding. I think that is something that needs to be emphasized. And as I say, it's the facts of the matter that are the most important. I believe that during campaigns often get heated at times. That's the way that it goes. And as I say, you try to stay as factual as you can in all communications that I've made. I've only that I myself submitted have only said there's not an increase in the tax rate, and I've also always said that it is a large portion of the funds goes to the PE building. The Taxpayers Association Board of Directors did meet and did vote to endorse Measure P. So it's something that and has participated in meetings and provided input to the Board of Trustees on enrollment and other issues, and was very involved in the discussions in 2020 and 2022 whether or not there should be a bond at that time, and strongly encouraged the board not to place a bond on the ballot in 2020. One final comment. I agree with you. There can always be more planning on bonds. The problem is we'll lose tens of millions of dollars that won't be available in the future. That's why it was appropriate to put this bond on the ballot now.
All right, Marsha, the campaign, you've expressed concerns about it. You've heard Lanny defend it. What's your takeaway?
Jerry, I've been increasingly disappointed about this campaign. And as I think has been mentioned, it just really appears to have been turned loose with a self-described political operative running it and no oversight about what is said to Santa Barbara. And as Dale has pointed out, Santa Barbara is a sophisticated community. We deserve the truth. We expect the truth. We are not the same as multiple other community colleges where this team, civics, has used exactly the same techniques to get bonds passed and used the same language. In Pasadena, and this issue of without increasing taxes is a huge issue. And Lanny, no, you're not right. It's not just $2. Your commitment, if you vote for this bond, on average per household is $14,522 to pay back that money. And if you use the median household assessed value, your commitment would be about $8,858. That's a lot of money in taxes. And there is a chart that was presented to the board that shows that what is happening is the taxes are pushed up to $850 and kept that way until 2059 or 60. And it's all Measure P money that you're paying back. So this $2 thing is a fantasy. That is not what is on the chart, an option that was presented to the board. And you really need to look at that chart because you will see that it's a significant amount of increased money. And I think that that together with hiding the PE building from the taxpayers, incredibly misleading.
All right.
So I am disappointed in this campaign.
All right. And then Wade, you are the one person who actually runs campaigns here. Shout out Supervisor-elect Roy Lee. Here's your chance
New endorser of Measure P, by the way, Supervisor-elect Roy Lee.
Here's your chance to take out after out-of-town consultants, but fair game in the way the campaign's been run or not?
Look, I've said it time and time again, out-of-town overpriced consultants should never be hired. You should only hire local political consultants for all of your campaigns. I think my position on that has been very clear for a long time. So,
all right, last word to you.
I just want to say, what I've heard here today from all sides is that, basically we need the money. We need the money. But what I've heard from the opposition is that there's a governance issue. And while I recognize that there may be a governance issue, that is a separate issue from the funding stream. And if we feel like we need different SBCC board members or we need different people governing this bond, there are processes in place to make sure that that happens. But that is a separate issue from a bond that will ensure that our community gets massive matching funds from the state, that if we do not get this, we will leave on the table. And time again, I can tell you, our community has left state funds on the table. And it's time for that to stop. We can fix it. We can fix it easily by voting yes on Measure P. And one more thing, I've been working in politics a long time. I've worked on a lot of issues. I work for a lot of people. And there's a lot of stuff in this world that we can do absolutely nothing about. But the dilapidated buildings at Santa Barbara City College is something we can do something about. So let's do it.
All right. Well, what a terrific discussion. And, I just want to throw a curveball at everybody here, but, it just feels like I'd love to hear some closing statements, maybe a minute each from you if you want to. If you don't, feel free to pass. But if you just want to sum up the arguments that we've heard and made today, Lanny, why don't you go ahead?
Sure. Thank you, Jerry. And again, thank you for sponsoring this debate. Santa Barbara's a leader in public education. The forerunner of City College goes back to 1909. California is the leader of community colleges in the United States, and the United States, the leader of community colleges in the world. This is an exciting experiment we're doing here. We need this money for our community college. We need to invest in our facilities. It's something that this is a long-term benefit. People will be benefiting from this bond many decades from now. I wouldn't be surprised if people are benefiting from it 100 years from now. Please vote yes on Measure P. Vote for the future of Santa Barbara.
All right, Marsha, I just figured out that I'll be 111 years old in 2060, but I'm not going to let that affect my vote. But you want to sum up quickly what your view is?
Well, Jerry, it's your children and grandchildren who will continue to play that one off. I want to go back for a second to correct something here. There's been a strong argument by Lanny and Wade about leaving money on the table with the state. We're not going to get more money from the state. Did you see the Cal Matters article recently about the problems at SAC Community College? They have a building that they had to close. We have never had to close any of our buildings, but their building was judged about to collapse or in danger of collapse. And the state has legislatively prioritized buildings that have tilt-up concrete construction. That's their first priority. We don't have that. They're not going to be looking at this. There are 116 community colleges. We are not going to be competitive. We are not going to get additional state money in your foreseeable future. So forget about leaving that money on the table and think about your community as a community that deserves a plan before you spend money at like a spray gun without knowing which buildings you need, which buildings you should keep. You just fix them all up a little bit, spend that money, build a couple of new things, and we're happy? No. Wade, what you're talking about, the college shining on the hill, would be $1 billion for this community to take on,
All right.
not the 200 million.
Wade, bottom line?
Yeah, well, we're 20% of the way there.
No, we're not anywhere there.
Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is that I'm a fourth generation Santa Barbarian. I am incredibly proud to be from this community. I went to Santa Barbara City College. I had a great experience. When I was there, they had incredible professors, Joe White, Professor K, Estendari. I mean, these people made an indelible impact in my life. And one thing I know about Santa Barbara is that once upon a time, we used to take care of Santa Barbara. And I think that that's our values today. And I think it should be our values going forward. And so I believe that we take care of our own. And that's why I'm voting yes. And that's why I hope everyone else does too. And finally, I just wanted to say everyone else on this panel, other than me, stood up to do the worst thing in the world, which is run for office. And thank all of you for serving the public. And everyone who stands up and runs, you deserve a round of applause. It is a tough job. It is a thankless job. I just kind of stand in the background and laugh at you once you're up there. But God bless all of you for doing it. And thanks so much for doing this debate.
Yes, as a point of personal privilege, I would never run for the political office.
I said three of the people. Three of the people.
Last word, Dale.
So I am a proud alumnus of City College as well, and I had a fantastic experience there. City College has been in the past a prize-winning institution. It is not at the moment. It's in trouble, and it's in trouble because of poor management. Now, I want to see City College succeed. I want to see them come up with a plan to get out of the hole, and I hope that Erica is the woman to lead the formation of that plan. And once that is in place, and once that can be presented honestly to the voters in Santa Barbara, I am convinced that they will do what is right and appropriate the money that's needed. But right now, we are moving forward without a plan, and a lot of that money could end up wasted. So I too care about the education of the students there. I want the best for them. And that means waiting, coming up with a plan, and doing the right thing with the money.
All right. All right. Well, it's been a terrific discussion, and now I have to go fill out my ballot. And honestly, I'm thoroughly confused. No, really, yeah. I appreciate all of you taking the time, and I appreciate your commitments of the community. And this is a really important issue. It's a lot of money, and it's something that people should take seriously. And I think you all have really contributed to a very vibrant discussion of that. Lanny, Ebenstein, Marsha Croninger, Wade Cooper, and Dale Francisco, thank you much for all.
Go vote, everybody. Go vote.
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you back on Newsmakers. Thanks again.
Thank you, Jerry.